Welcome to the Titans Talk Podcast Senior Edition. Seniors will be reflecting on our time in high school and the legacy we will leave behind. Last week we talked about our experiences with online learning and the changes of Uplift as a whole. Today, we'll discuss our experiences as juniors and the challenges of coming back into the building and adjusting to the new 4x4 schedule and new programs. Joining me today are Destiny, Maurice, Joshua Y, Joshua V, and Nine.
Let's talk about how it felt coming into the school in the fall of 2021. How it felt coming back to the building. It changed very different because we had to wear masks and just coming back to see our old classmates. It just kind of changed our impact since we haven't seen each other for a whole year. And then just the building changed as well. So it was a different environment just to get back in.
It changed how we interact. We couldn't be close to each other. We couldn't shake each other's hands. Couldn't do nothing. So because of COVID-19, and we had to test every Monday.
How I feel going into the building, I feel like it was irritating because I get to shake up my friends' hands and other stuff, and the mask was irritating.
It definitely didn't feel like a normal year, especially with the masks and all the restrictions and stuff. Couldn't really interact with people the way that we did freshman year. The stuff that we had to do, the testing and the screeners, was kind of annoying, and also just the fear of getting COVID while in school.
It was just different. Couldn't really shake up our friends. Everybody had to be spaced out in a room. Sometimes when we at the cafeteria and lunch, they'll put two students at one table and just space them out. So it just felt very odd. It felt like something I would never want to have to experience again.
How it felt coming back in the building, just as doing school regularly. It was very hard because we had to make sure we got mask and hand sanitizer and all that. And we couldn't really have no interaction with people, no fist bumps, no hugs, or even to our closest friends. We couldn't be so close without them without having go back to the 6 feet rule. And filling out those screamers was it wasn't hard. It was just time consuming because we had to do it every day before we come in the building. And if you didn't do it, they was gonna have you redo it at the front desk.
Coming into the building as a normal year during the junior was that we had to keep our masks on all the time. We couldn't really I couldn't get dabbed up or nothing. I couldn't be near my friends or anything like that. The testing every Monday for COVID, I didn't really have anything about that, but I did have a test every once 2 months during my old school. And the people were still being afraid together in the space because they were also concerned about not about COVID third time when we come back.
I felt like when we came back, it really didn't feel normal because we're still in the COVID system, I guess that's the way to say it. Because we still had to have our mask on for the most of the time, and we had to be 6 feet apart from each other, which makes interaction really hard, especially when you see your close friends and you want to interact, you want to talk to them. You literally have to do it from afar, which I felt like it was really hard, I guess. And the health screeners, I said, it wasn't hard to do. It was just really annoying, and I felt personally it wasn't as effective because there are no way to prove the answers on that health screener because you can just say yes and no to all those questions, and I feel like people can easily lie on that. So I don't feel personally it will make me feel safe going based off of that health screener alone because you can lie through that. There's no way to prove people's answers in there, and you didn't have to submit a proof of you got COVID. You have to prove it. People who had COVID they don't have to tell you they have COVID. So that was really hard too because you had to be so skeptical and you had to protect yourself from make sure you don't get the COVID because you don't know who around you may or may not have it.
And also if you did do, since we did COVID tests almost every Monday, if you did test positive for them, you couldn't be in school for like 10 days and you have to like go home, do online learning. And now I bet that was like even harder because you gotta do schoolwork while being sick in like your bed and stuff like that. And I feel like everybody was worried about getting up themselves and like seeing like how fatal it was going to be because not everybody have like the same immune system as everybody else.
Let's talk about the 4x4 schedule versus the 8 classes in a day. For the new 4x4 schedule, I didn't really like it because the hours just kept taking so long, and then just being in the classroom, just sitting down, I didn't really get used to it because I was not used to being in the class that long, and it just made me feel like I was pushed into college right away. And just the lessons as well, even if I didn't understand it, I was still stuck in the classes, just had no idea what to do for that long hour.
I'm not so used like seeing that in one class. I like to like move around. So it was like feel like college to me.
With the 4x4 schedule, it was definitely a lot harder to get things done. And like Josh said, we spent a lot of time in the classroom, so it was really easy to get distracted and kind of lose focus on the material. With the 8-block schedule, it was a lot easier to get credits. We were in classes with all of our friends all the time, and it was just a lot more fun to do.
The new 4x4 schedule, it was the worst thing that ever happened to me in school history. Like during freshman year, even the 60-minute classes was real long to me. I didn't even like that. And so they put an extra 30 minutes to it, which made me more mad. And then everybody else, like they having more fun. They being in more classrooms. They classes bigger because like they got so many classes in a day. But here we only got 4 classes in a day, and we in here for almost 2 hours, which is crazy to me.
So for the new 4x4 schedule, that's pretty new because I never heard of a 4 class schedule. Because I'm used to the 8 class during my old school, but when I came here, when I heard about the 4 classes schedule, I thought it was gonna be like a pretty short one until it was like an hour 30.
With the new 4x4 schedule, I feel like for me, it was very easy. It was like more easier than our 8x8. But at the same time, I did like the 8x8 schedule because we had like more classes. But with the 4x4, we had like only like 3 classes or like an hour and 20 minutes. I won't say it was boring, but it was like very like hard to sit in that one class for that long a time. Try to compact so many lessons in one. So it was like more harder like getting work done.
With the 4x4 schedule, personally, now I think it's actually good because you get to focus on one class at a time. But with the 8x8 schedule, I feel like you get more interactions and more teachers interaction, which I really liked. Especially with the student, we were always together, which was kind of nice because you get to interact with your friends. Like now, most of the kids, we just always interact. We barely even see them. So that I kind of miss that interaction piece. But the 4x4 schedule, I felt like it should have been introduced later on, personally, because it was like we just came out of a change and then we worked right back into a new change. And we came back to school and we expected a normal year. And it was like, oh, okay. It's actually not going to be the normal year at all. Not even close.
Let's talk about the early college program and the creation of the innovation lab. The new programs that we were introduced during our junior year was early college. To me, it just felt a bit different since I could still be in high school and still get college classes credit as well. So I kind of enjoyed it a bit until getting it in firsthand. So I was like, I'm not ready for this yet. But then I just started to keep pushing on, but still had a big difference with me.
I know early college came about like the summer of our sophomore year. So not actually a huge chunk of the students, I think no students at all found out about it. So it was like first come, first serve, especially for the students that had an opportunity to take all those classes during the summer. So they really did have like a big head start before anyone else, and they have a lot of benefits from that. But just in general, I thought it was kind of cool in a way.
I wasn't really a fan of the new programs only because of the experience of online learning, which pushed my grades and some of my friends' grades and GPAs back. So I wasn't really feeling the whole new program things, and like I'm still working on my GPA and trying to get my grades back.
I feel like this is when we start finding about like the early college classes that we can take college classes. I liked that because it helped you like see what you're going to be doing. Well, get ahead of doing certain classes in a college so you won't have to take them.
The new programs like the college program was for me it's pretty new, but when I start hearing more about it, I was like, oh, so finally get some early college credit for whenever I gotta go to college. But I didn't knew about it until like literally the last minute during the junior year.
The new programs were really helpful, especially the college credit class. You get to like be in that college environment / settings and get to see what college professors were like. Some of the professors I had were like really strict on homework and getting them turned on time, and like so you get to like kind of get that firsthand experience. I like that interaction and like knowing what college is gonna be like before actually going into college. So I also like the fact that you get to get college credits for it, which is really nice. What I really didn't like about that is because the fact that we didn't know until junior year, while some people already knew doing sophomore year and they get to take it during sophomore year. I felt like that was unfair because I would have personally liked to be able to take it at the end of sophomore year and be able to like start getting my credits then.
The creation of the innovation lab, I didn't really like it at first because I kind of enjoyed the library of what we used to have. It was just a quiet, comfortable space. But then after they turned into the innovation lab, I was impressed with the new technology that we had and the 3D printers. But then at the same time, I just also wanted to find like a quiet space in the room or in the school in general. And the library was one of them.
It doesn't hit the same. Like, feel like it gave me like the low vibes. The library was way better. We get to like hang out, interact with people. It got all these other spaces, and it doesn't hesitate to use it. I feel like it doesn't hit the same like it used to.
To me, at first, I thought the innovation lab was cool because I thought that it was going to put the library somewhere else. And then figuring out that we didn't have a library at all, like Josh said, like the library was a quiet place in the school that students could like chill out. But now that we don't have that, especially with the creation of the game room, like there's really no space for the students to relax or be anywhere. So I really do like the innovation lab though, but I just wish that we had at least somewhere for the kids to find a quiet space.
And with them creating the innovation lab from the library, I feel like people did like the library because it was like a place where you could like calm down in between your classes and like do your homework and stuff like that. And then with the innovation lab, you can still do that. It's just more technology in there. It's like a little bit loud. And they use it for gaming. We don't need 2 game rooms, as it was said before. So I feel like they should like make another place where people can like have quiet time to do their work and stuff like that.
And then the creation of the innovation lab, when I first came here, I seen it was in the construction. And people were talking about how like really upset they were. Well, not really upset, but like upset about the library being gone. But the innovation lab is like pretty alright because it's like a place to go chill, and especially go do like some work when it's online, like a Google Classroom.
Thanks everyone for sharing your experience. We appreciate you being here. And thanks to our listeners for joining us on this journey. Next week, we'll talk about our senior year and how it feels about our time at Uplift.